I think we spoke. One of the questions that I asked you was, what is the picture of education for Black America? What does it look like? Because you talked about the need for Black male teachers in schools. What does this desert look like?
Well, listen, we've got a long way to go. We're looking to have a 10-year plan and a 20-year plan to make sure that we get more Black teachers into our pipeline, that we start to identify these young people as middle school students and high school students. But what we can do in the here and now is make sure that we can deal with public policy, because we don't want public policy like they're legislating in Florida.
Let's talk about that policy. So what is the policy that, number one, you're coming against, and number two, you want to see?
Well, listen, we have look no further than Florida, where we have book bans, where we have classrooms that have no certified teacher in the classrooms, because those teachers are saying, I'm going to teach in another state. And so right now, today, as we speak, we have 8,000 classrooms in the state of Florida that do not have a certified teacher. They're doubling up English classes. They're doubling up and coding them and putting them in the auditorium where you have a teacher and 2 assistants, because teachers are saying, I'm just not going to teach here. That's what's happening in Florida right now, where they are castigating librarians, closing libraries. I mean, I could go on and on and on. The attacks on DEI. You have a school like Florida A&M University who has been told that they can't teach African American history. You have University of Florida, one of our main flagship state schools, that is no longer offering a degree in African American studies because they're afraid of the public policy that will shut down their funding. Those are the kinds of things that we're fighting right now. Now, what we have to look forward to, listen, let me tell you something. The list is endless. We need smaller class sizes. We need Black teachers. We need more funding in our schools so that we can fund elective classes. You got to give a kid a reason to sit in the seat before you can teach them something. And band, and art, and choir, and culinary arts, and CTE, all of those things give our kids reasons to sit down in the seat so that we can teach them something.
So what do you say to parents, to communities who may even be, because a lot of this really is, it's all over, but specifically in red states where you have a Republican trifecta?
Speak up, speak up, speak up. Go to your school board. Demand that your zip code, that your school, that your feeder pattern is the elementary school, middle school, and the high school, have everything that the school in the next zip code deserves. You can go and demand that from your superintendent, from your school board, from your principal. You don't have to change schools. You don't have to go to charter schools. You can demand what you need, and they will get it for you. Squeaky wheel always gets the attention. And so we need to make sure that our parents are empowered, and make sure that we can provide the time for them to get into these school board meetings and go to your PTO and PTA meetings. Don't leave your child in an educational desert by themselves. They need you to support them and be in schools as much as you can. Volunteer, because involved parents have a 50% higher success rate for graduation for their young people.
Let's talk about the op-ed piece. So you have an op-ed called How to Improve Black Education in 2024 and Beyond. How do we begin to attack this issue? What do you talk about in this op-ed?
Well, listen, first of all, thank you for the question, because we oftentimes talk about the problems and we don't talk about the solution.
Right.
And solutions come through access, right? And so our access points to this. We need more Black educators. Our young people need to see themselves in the classroom, in positions of authority. And you know, if your math teacher and your science teacher and your physical education teacher are Black men or Black women, then there's a different conversation that happens between somebody who can understand what you're going through each and every day. Number 2, the access to community schools. We need to make our schools the hubs of communities where parents can go and get dentistry done. They can get social services happening for their students. The school is open a little bit longer than it usually does, so that you use that school as a one-stop shop. And then 3, we need some transformative technologies in all of our zip codes. Too many of our students have what we call digital deserts. They don't have access to broadband.
And COVID really exposed all of that.
It did. And our students fell behind simply because they didn't have a laptop at home, simply because they couldn't access Zoom because there was no hardware at home. And if they did have the hardware, then a certain community didn't have broadband or connectivity. And then the last piece is the access to higher education. And I'm always talking about our HBCUs. Because we had a landmark decision that tried to eradicate affirmative action. And so now we're seeing a decrease in our PWIs, those predominantly white institutions. And we're seeing an increase in our HBCUs because people are going where they are celebrated, not tolerated. And so we want our young people to know that you still have access to education, you still have access to these colleges and universities, and we still have historical schools that are dedicated just to you, just for you, because there was a time where you and I couldn't go to certain schools. And so these HBCUs are more relevant than ever.
I love that. Before you go, I want to talk about, you brought it up, but I want to talk about AI.
Yeah.
The things that you were addressing just felt like things that we've been addressing in the school system for so long. And right now we're also facing this huge, very fast technological change.
Yeah.
And this is another issue that I don't want our kids, black and brown kids, those who are also disadvantaged, to be left out, and then on the back end like we've seen so many times.
Yeah.
What at the American Federation of Teachers, what are some things that you all are doing to confront the issue of AI in the school system? And then last, I'm going to end with, why is this election so important?
Yeah, so listen, the question about AI is super important because we're now preparing students for jobs that we don't even know will exist. We don't know the job that we're preparing the students for that will exist. So we have to embrace this technology. The technology is moving faster than we can actually keep up with. And so we have to get resources, we have to get computers, we have to we have to deal with the phone because it's a distraction in school.
Right.
But we have to let students understand that there's a way and a means and an avenue to having all this information and how you navigate that. How do you find jobs? How do you, find out the predictability of a particular community? How do you find housing? You can do it all on your phone. You can go to all of these different websites. And so we got to embrace this technology. We've got to have people who are going to teach it properly, and then we've got to educate our young people on how to use it and how to move forward in life. And so a lot is hinging on this particular election. The historical piece is right front and center. We have never had a black woman of Asian descent who has broken this glass ceiling. And so I am historically proud because I have a grandmother who had a third grade education. She could never see this day coming. It would not have even, she could not have even imagined that. And then I'm also happy because I have a daughter. My daughter is living in California, going to UCLA, graduated from Howard. And she has done her thing. But for her and her young people, and when she has kids, I'm not speaking that into existence yet, but what I'm telling you is there's a hope and there's an opportunity there for these young people to see themselves in the White House. We did it, in 2008. We can do it again in 2024. But more than that, what's on the line is the value system. It's somebody who understands exactly what we're going through as a black community, as a black neighborhood, as people of color have always had to persevere. And to have somebody in the highest levels of power who actually understands that is going to make a major difference.
Ooh, that was good. Thank you so much. Fred Ingram, American Federation of Teachers, thank you for coming on AURN. Brother, you're always welcome back. Good luck to your daughter. I just want to see her. I just want to be like, your daddy rooting for you. We all rooting for you. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ebony.